Apologies if you're hearing any wind noise in the background. It's like gale force winds, even though there's blue sky and I could get a suntan at the same time. This is Ireland. It might rain or snow in the next few minutes. But today I'm going to review the Toyota Corolla GR Sport, a 2-litre petrol hybrid car. We see if it's actually kind of sporty. In a change to the way we normally do it, let's first look at the exterior. We're onto the Sony cam, and I have to apologise, I'm probably facing straight into the wind. There's nothing I can do about it. Quite a lot of grille here, and then a splitter down the bottom, and then Toyota logo embedded here in the front, completely covered in plastic, so there's no texture to that. It looks like it's raised, but actually it isn't. It's covered over. Modern thinking on the exterior of cars is to move the bonnet back from the front. So this line appears here, and you're left with this in the front. So you've got two purposes behind this. One is insurance. If this has a frontal collision, a small one, you're only replacing this, not the most expensive part, which is the bonnet. And second thinking behind this is pedestrian safety, which this little pedestrian bit here is meant to help negate the crash. Now down the side, this one has black alloys with a red detail on the alloy, which I quite like. Looks really good. This tyre is too thin. I tell you now, when we get around to driving it, I'll explain what I mean by too thin as to why that is. But there's quite a bit of a gap, as you can see, between the arch and the tyre. Hybrid is the only thing that's written on the side here. A small sill down the bottom. Same on the back tyre. It's still a little bit wide here as well. And then when you come on the back, you've got GR Sport written here, which is the only clue that this is anyway different from a normal, really, Corolla from the outside. When you look in the boot for a minute, that's the only logo on it that tells you you're in something different. My instinct is to go under here for the button, but that's where the camera is. The button's under here, and for some reason Toyota put in two buttons, that one and that one. And it's very confusing when you walk up and you touch the long button to open it, the small button to lock it. Anyway, the boot space is what you'd expect in a 5-door hatch. It's not massive, but it's big enough, you know. That's why jacket and bag and drone and everything's in there. And then you come down here and you push that to get the hook. You pull the hook and you think, battery, look, there's a battery under here. There's Corolla hatchback hybrids and all that sort of stuff that's supposed to be under here. But if you look up, you see this little elastic? I've only got one hand here. But you hook one onto the other, so it keeps your cover out of the way. Look at that. That's genius, Toyota. Okay, now we're on with the interior. Alright. Out of the wind for a minute. Upgrades all around. So I've added a camera which can show you the front dashboard as well. Hopefully you'll be able to see everything. So traditional Corolla layout for the dashboard, right? You got a nice steering wheel. It's a tiny bit on the thin side, just a little bit. Now I don't have exactly small hands or anything, but it just feels a little less substantial than I wanted it to be. All the controls are here, and all the controls are on the steering wheel that you need. Volume is on this side, skip the track on that side, and you have active cruise control in this one as well. This is this top spec one. We'll get into prices after. In the center we have a great big touchscreen and big knobs for the air conditioning, which is what there should be at all times. I'll get my phone out as well because I've been testing both Android Auto, which is this one, and Apple CarPlay, which is this one. Both work on this, but remarkably Android Auto is actually a little bit more responsive, weirdly, than Apple CarPlay on this. But I'm going to power it up so we see what it is without Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It just hooks up by Bluetooth. If you don't plug anything in, it just hooks it straight up by Bluetooth. So you just go continue, and you'll see that your phone is connected, because it said in the corner, it'll say phone connected over here. We'll just turn that down a little bit there. The air conditioning, that is. Now it's showing me the battery connection up here, showing me all the audio is turned off at the moment. But in here we got the home screen, which is normal. Then you have menu, which allows you to get into the other individual bits and pieces. Now if I notice also that navigation is not available on this system unless you connect your phone up. Now just get used to that, because that's pretty standard across everybody now. They're starting to get rid of sat navs out of cars. but yet they don't know what to do with the space left where the sat-nav would normally hang out, right? So that's normally where you'd see a map. But when the audio is off, it's not showing you anything. So if audio is actually turned on, if we just go for the radio for the minute, right, and I turn it down so you can't hear it, you can see then the space is filled up. So if I go home, you'll see now it says the name of the station that I'm listening to currently, and I can flick through the whole album. Very responsive, starts up straight away, no problem. But again, if you click on map, which there is a button for map, I wish they'd remove the button if it's not going to be useful to you. Now, thinking about that for a second, just flick into Android Auto. This is USB on one end and Type-C connection to the, this is called a Xiaomi Mi A3. It's a fairly basic, well, I won't say basic, but it's an Android phone, and there we go, right? So it's gone straight into connected mode, not Android Auto mode. This is not it. This is just your normal screen. So you can go Android Auto and it will bring you into what it is for Android Auto all the time. Okay, so it's right here, goes up on the screen straight away, and then behaves just like Apple CarPlay after that. You get a few extra options on it. If you do things like clicking news, it will begin to read out the news from Sky News, from BBC.
News.
Here it is, headlines from BBC. Okay, so I'm not going to play that. We're going to go back now for a second. Scrub that, thanks all the same. These are little things that Android Auto is able to do that Apple CarPlay doesn't actually do. Podcasts is in there as well, reminders and settings and weather and all that sort of stuff has all come from the Android Auto system. Works very, very well. Okay, so skipping on, there is a space down here to dump the phone into. Down there, the cable goes underneath here, or it's a sunglasses holder, whichever you want to have it. Moving down away from that, this looks like a sort of a floating area. You get a little glove box, not little, glove box over there, considerable size. Then you have your drive modes here. You can have EV mode, or you can have different modes that come up on the screen. You have them over here, Sport, Normal and Eco. Then the gear stick itself, which goes to D, P, you can have R, N, D, Sport, Sport Plus and Minus, which is there as well. You go back to P. Then you have hold, you can hear the handbrake going on and off. The handbrake is just underneath that again. The little key for releasing the gears, if you need to push the car, is also here as well. That's what, if ever you wonder what that little slot is for. And back there, you've got two little cup holders, which are big enough to hold a bottle that size easily. Also one of them in a door for holding a bottle that size. Not as easy, but easy enough. This is a metal bottle as well, so it doesn't bend when you're going into a spot. So it either goes in or it doesn't go in. Overall, really easy layout, simple, looks well, looks classy. I like the digital screen in the middle, which is kind of nice. We'll get to that when we're driving. And we get to the EV mode and stuff as well, because it's now currently the engine's off and it's running in EV mode. And this screen and the setup, it shows you the speedo and all the readouts. Over here, automatic headlights and things are all on that side. It's all where I want it to be. It all comes nicely what I want. I'm sitting here and I can just go auto here on the thing, just do that and turn it up and down. All very, very straightforward. I like how easy the layout is and how quickly I can switch from Android Auto to Apple CarPlay and back again. I do wish there was two USB ports in the front. There should be one and one above or below that as well. You know, there should be two there, not one. And in here there's a 12 volt connector, but I want USB and 12 volt. I know that sounds like I want everything, but I do want everything. Sorry. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the back seat of this as well while we're at it. Okay, quick mention, back doors open a bit narrow. I think that's a bit narrow. Feels like when I'm getting in, I'm sort of claustrophobically trying to squeeze between the door and the rest of the car. But actually the back seat is quite a comfortable place. Not much space between me and here. I can't fit my fist in between my driver's seat, which is set for me, and the back seat. So it's quite narrow in here. You do get an armrest in the centre with two cup holders in it, which is big enough for the bottle again. You would, risky, but I'd say I might just get three adults in here to squeeze. If you were big burly guys with big shoulders, it's quite tight. If I close the door here, it gets pretty dark in here, just from, probably not on the camera, but it is kind of dark in here. Cup holders also in the door, which I quite like, but there's nothing else here. There's nowhere else to put anything. Same as the CHR, the back door has no kind of places to dump things, like the way kids do, you know, sweet wrappers and things just get fired in. And the window itself is actually a bit more commodious than the CHR, but it's okay. The curve of the roof means my Bob Hawk is a little bit tight to the roof here, just a small bit. Anyway, let's crack on with the drive. Engines. The 2020 powertrains and lineup include a 1.8 litre hybrid that's available through all the grades, including GR Sport. The 2-litre hybrid is only available on GR Sport, and this one is the 2-litre hybrid. It's got 184 horsepower, 190 newton meters of torque. Fuel consumption, which is WLTP combined, is 5.3 litres per 100 kilometres. NOx emissions of 4 milligrams per kilometre. Boot capacity is 313 litres because the 12-volt battery is in the boot. The hybrid battery is actually a nickel metal hydride, an NIMH. For the 1.8, if you decide to go for a Corolla in a 1.8, it's 122 horsepower, 142 newton meters of torque. Fuel consumption goes down to 4.5 litres per 100 kilometres for the Aura, Luna and Luna Sport. Sol and GR Sport go to 4.9, probably because of the different tyres. NOx emissions is 3 milligrams per 3 milligrams per kilometre. Boot capacity is 361 litres, and the same lithium-ion battery is in that one in the 1.8. That is your only 2 engine options. No diesels, no full electrics, nothing else. No plain petrols. They're all gone hybrid now. Corolla has never really been a driver's car. Now, they've had some versions of Corollas that have over the years, but generally speaking, the traditional sort of 5-door hatchback has just been that, a traditional 5-door hatchback. Pigeon taken off there in the middle of my drive. This one isn't much different. It still doesn't particularly handle that much. It's solid enough on the road, mostly due to the Falcon tyres and the kind of harder suspension that they put into this one. As you feel going across, you can probably see the vibration in the camera as well. The suspension is quite firm in this car. It's not uncomfortably firm, but on little roads like this that have little potholes and puck holes and things in them, it can certainly get a little bit uncomfortable. I've mentioned the tyres now, the Falcon tyres. I do find the road noise is nearly unacceptable in this car. It's very high. Every time you roll away, instantly you can hear every bit of road surface change. It's very loud. And that's intrusive in the cabin. It's intrusive in here as I drive along. It just kind of gets on your nerves after a bit. Particularly if you have a second car and it's quiet. You'll really notice it. But when you're in hybrid mode in this, or in EV mode even, it's so quiet in the cabin because there's nothing running. So the tyre roar is basically all you hear then. Now, other things I have to mention is that 2-litre petrol engine does haul ass in a nice kind of way. It's nice to hear that Toyota has done something a bit different with that engine. Instead of that usual sort of 1.8 litre drone that you get, there is quite a nice sporty sound out of that engine out there. It's not as intrusive in the cabin as you might think either. You can hear it. Of course, it's coupled to a CVT gearbox. That CVT gearbox does, it keeps the revs maxed out. That's what's happening there. That's why you can hear that kind of drone out of it the whole time. Still doesn't sound fantastic, but you know, well, it's a 5-door hatchback, even if it's got GR Sport on it. We're not talking about a GTI here when we're talking about this car. We're talking about a car that is, you know, a 5-door hatchback with a 2-litre petrol engine under it, connected to a hybrid system. It's never going to be massively sporty to begin with. And some stuff I do really like. It's really easy to drive it. Like, it just cruises along like just a lovely way. It's very cosseted from the outside world. If they can improve the road noise, the tyre roar is very loud. I think this would be a nicer car to drive. Overall, I'd like this 2-litre engine in a standard Corolla. Just put it in. Don't worry about it, Toyota. Don't worry about offering the 1.8 hybrid. Just offer the 2-litre petrol hybrid into an ordinary Corolla with normal sized wheels. You'd have a really quiet car. My favourite Corolla out of the lot is actually the Corolla Estate. I think it's a gorgeous looking car. The Corolla Saloon will be next, and the hatchback is third in that list. This Sport doesn't really do a whole lot for me to elevate me any closer to the hatchback state. I still prefer the Estate version of it, and it's probably the best value for money. You're getting the biggest boot in it as well. Before we finish up with a roundup of the car, let's look at the prices. So the range starts with the Aura, which has a safety sense, 16-inch alloys and LED with automatic high beam and a few other bits and pieces for $26,390, which is pretty good, not the worst price I've ever seen. Then you move into Luna, which adds front fog lamps, a Toyota Touch 8-inch multimedia screen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a few other bits like rear view camera for $27,170. This is probably where you want to start. Then you have the Luna Sport, which adds a lovely amount of colours, but 17-inch alloys, the bi-tone roof. This is where that starts, so the twin colour roof. You can have different ones. Bi-LED lamps and power retractable heated door mirrors are also available in that one. Sol is the top spec one, €30,330. Adds some nice seats, 17-inch alloys, smart entry. Can't have this with bi-tone roof, which I don't particularly like. GR Sport is the one you want. It's the one that's in the video. The 1.8 hybrid is 31,860, but the one that's actually in the video is a 2-litre hybrid, 34,110, which is a bit pricey for it, to be honest with you. But you do get the bi-tone roof, 18-inch GR Sport alloy wheels, which are lovely, but the tyres are too thin. And then you have front sport seats and partial leather upholstery, a partial leather steering wheel, and some scuff plates on the outside. So as you can see, it's not the cheapest car in the market. It's certainly a bit of an investment to make, and yet it's still pretty competitive with the rest of them as the car prices have risen over the last few years. I like the Corolla for being something different, trying something else. Instead of just continuously turning up with the same old stuff, they've gone around down the road of doing something different every single time, and I have to appreciate that in its own kind of way. I wish they would just create a standard Corolla, 2-litre petrol engine in it, ordinary size wheels, and leave everything else. It's all good after that. I kind of like it. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you like the new format. Let me know in the comments down below if you think it's pretty good, or you don't like it, or you want to do something different. I just like to use the time code thing on YouTube, so it means you can skip to the right part all the time. It's been lovely. You've been very kind to drop on by. I enjoyed the Corolla quite much. I hope you do too. If you did, hit the subscribe button, because that's what happens around here. I make more videos when I get more subscribers. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, I will see you on the far side.